You're on to the news on the hour, brought to you from the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN. I am Mzubechi Frank. You're welcome. Christians in politics have been admonished not to allow themselves to get carried away because of their positions, but instead should be true representatives of Christ and show forth his light through the way they live and decisions they take. This was the admonition of the Archbishop of the Enugu Ecclesiastical Province, His Grace, the Most Reverend Emmanuel Chukwuma, in an exclusive interview with the ACNN News correspondent Wanne Ogechukwu in Enugu. Most Reverend Chukwuma called on them not to forget who they were before they ventured into politics and not to forget the God factor in everything they do.
Our loyalty first is to God, not to any human beings. You shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. If any Christian is found in any position in politics, it is important that you carry along that integrity of Christian life and lifestyle. But they get there and throw it overboard. And that is unfortunate. But we find that even the Muslims are more serious with their religion than Christians. Our Christian brothers and sisters are betrayers of the faith. And one is very much sad about it. They think much of their position and are not losing their gain, not losing their position, and they want to be good in the sight of men. But they forget to say that, they forget that the Bible says, and a friend of the world is an enemy of God. I better be a friend of God and be an enemy of the world than to be a friend of the world and be an enemy of God, because it is only God that we give account to. If people remember that they will give account to God who created them, they should therefore be very careful and stand firm in their faith and never waver.
According to him, some Christians compromise their faith just because of their selfish quest for power and position. He advised them to use the life of Leah Sharibu, the Christian Baptist schoolgirl who refused to deny Christ, as an example.
Leah, that is now held captive, she stood by faith. She refused to denounce her Christian life, and that should be an example. But to find some people who are Christians because they want position, they will move from John to answer Yakubu. They will move from being Elizabeth to answer something else because of position or contract or whatever, or appointments, and they sell off their birthright. It's a shame. We're disappointed that our Christian faithfuls in politics are not standing by faith. And that's why we're praying for them, that God will touch them, for them to repent and allow integrity to prevail in their lives and in their actions. And it's only then that Nigeria can be saved.
Chukwuma also called on all Christians to get involved in politics and influence it with their lifestyle of integrity, adding that politics only becomes dirty when dirty people are fully involved.
Politics is not dirty. It is the people who play politics that are dirty. Mind it. The primate has already said our people should go into politics. If you want to make a change in something, you don't stay outside. You go there and change with your action. Let your light so shine there. Transform the place with your life. But you stay outside and you don't even get your PVC to even vote. You say that you are something is bad. How can something be changed if you're not part of it? The salt will always make its saltiness to be effective when it's inside the food or the soup. So I joined the primate to say our people, Christians, should go and join politics, join political parties and saturate it and let the truth prevail there. If we make ourselves effective in the party, the people will know that the truth must prevail and they will join it.
The Christian Association of Nigeria, ACNN, has warned the presidency and the Nigerian pleads against taking actions capable of threatening the survival of democracy in Nigeria. The ACNN president, Reverend Samson Ayokunle, gave the warning while reacting to the invasion of the official residencies of the Senate President Bukola Saraki and his deputy Ike Ekwemadu by security operatives. In a statement by his media aide, Pastor Bayo Oladeji, the ACNN president called on the civil society to remain vigilant in rescuing Nigerians' democracy from forces that are out towards derailing it. He stated that ACNN expresses grave concern over the poor handling of pleas invitation to the Senate President Saraki over the infamous offer robbery saga that led to the death of not fewer than 30 people and the alleged plan by the EFCC to arrest Ekwemadu over alleged money laundering, noting that the Christian umbrella body condemns in strong terms the way and manner the police were deployed in subjecting the leadership of the National Assembly to needless embarrassment, and further described the action of the police as a siege against democracy. The Deputy Senate President, Ike and the National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Uche Secondus, have condemned in the strong terms the siege laid in the houses of the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, and his deputy by the police. It would be recalled that some security operatives from the police and the SS mounted the siege, and evidence later emerged that he had been summoned to appear before the anti-graft agency EFCC over alleged money laundering. The Deputy Vice President, who narrated his ordeal to newsmen in an interview when his colleague and some party members paid him a visit, alleged that he was deprived from attending the Senate sitting because the police was trying to avoid APC members from defecting to PDP.
Well, we had anticipated that a number of our colleagues in APC would defect to PDP this morning. And in anticipation of that, the APC leadership had tried to stop them. And when that didn't happen, first they invited the Senate President to come to the police this morning. And they believe that if the Senate President goes to the police, that I will be coming to preside and probably read the letter of defection. So in anticipation of that, the police, the EFCC and other security agencies brought together a number of people, over 200 of them, to come to make sure that I don't go to the National Assembly. They purportedly came with a letter inviting me to come to the EFCC and give explanation over things they said my names were mentioned in one of the investigations. So I said, okay, let me go and see them. They said, no, I'm not leaving. So I was ready to go and answer whatever they wanted me to answer, but they were not eager to let me go. So essentially, they want to make sure I don't go to the National Assembly, in the hope that they will also have stopped the Senate President by asking him to come to the police. So unfortunately to them, Senate President was already at the Senate, and so he had to preside. So when I heard he was already sitting, I simply relaxed so until they got tired and left. So that is actually what happened, but that is not a good day for democracy. That's not a good thing that for this country. We must know how to respect the law, respect institutions, because that is the only way we can make progress as a country. This is a total embarrassment to our nation, and I hope that this will not happen again.
The National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Uche Secondus, who was among those that paid the Deputy Senate President's visit, described the incident as an assault on democracy and called on the President Muhammad Buhari to defend democracy, as the assault on democracy in Nigeria must not be tolerated.
Our leaders must stand up and defend democracy. And of course, as you know, technically, the APC government has collapsed. We call on President Buhari to defend democracy. The assault on democracy in Nigeria must not be tolerated, either on the legislature or other structures of the executive arms to the state level or on the judiciary. We must be a country that must defend the rule of law. We are not in dictatorial government. We are not in the military government. We are in for democracy, and it must be practiced like every other world-recognized democracy.
Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has ordered a thorough investigation into allegation of siege to residences of the Senate President Bukola Saraki and the Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu by men of the Nigerian Police Force on Tuesday. This was just as the police insisted that it never deployed its personnel to the houses of the two presiding officers of the National Assembly. Force Public Relations Officer Jimo Moshood, addressing the media at the Force headquarters, said the IGP directed a full-scale investigation into alleged siege of the residences of Saraki and his deputy Ike Ekweremadu. Mr. Moshood said, contrary to reports that the police deployed personnel to block Saraki as well as hold Ekweremadu hostage, nothing as such took place. According to him, the police came as the Senate President Bukola Saraki failed to honor invitation of him to report to the Force Intelligence Response Team office at Guzampe, Abuja, to clarify his alleged link to the Offa Bank robbery and killings of over 33 people in Kwara State by some political thugs in the states. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and Chairman Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, Professor Itsesage, have warned that the federal government would not tolerate any of its officials out to sustain corruption in the system, but noted that the federal government was currently tackling corruption from the top before taking it to the lower cradle level. The duo, who spoke at the breakfast meeting on rethinking business conduct and practices, a sustainable concept to transforming Nigeria's business ecosystem in Abuja, said the anti-graft war was a head-on fight. Vice President Osinbajo, who was represented by Mr. Ade Ikpae, Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, said the federal government was determined to encourage those who planned not to interact, imitate, implement, perpetuate or sustain corruption, and further stressed that fighting corruption was not something that the government could achieve in a jiffy, adding that it would take time to achieve the feat. Meanwhile, Professor Sage stated that the government was currently going after high-profile persons who enmeshed themselves in corruption. According to him, corruption is a norm among the population and that it will take time to win the battle against it. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Oneje, had said that the country was doomed without the rule of law, charging judicial officers to remain steadfast and committed in the build-up to the next general election in 2019. Justice Oneje met the call during the commissioning of an ultra-modern court of appeal complex in Calabar, Cross River State. The CJN, accompanied by the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Zainab Bukalchua, and Governor Ben Ayadi of Cross River State, told judges to remain firm no matter whose ox is gored and always be mindful of the fact that the society depends on judges and the decision they make. Meanwhile, former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Chief Kanu, also commended the judiciary for standing firm and helping to shape the country through its decision over time, which has helped prevent anarchy. He emphasized that the best arm of government was the judiciary, and its courage, intelligence and hard work had continued to sustain the country. He said without an independent judiciary to enforce the rule of law, it will not be long before elected officers cease to remain in office. A former president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Ayo Salami, has warned against the practice of engaging private legal practitioners in the prosecution of corruption-related cases by the federal government. Salami said that whereas lawyers from the government chambers show more commitment because of their careers and other factors, private lawyers are more concerned about the legal fee. Speaking at the seminar organized by the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption in conjunction with Center for Social Legal Studies, the former Court of Appeal President noted that when it is inevitable for government to engage private lawyers in such cases, the government should ensure that the lawyer is not from the same state or region as the defendants to avoid compromise. Salami further recommended that the Attorney General of the Federation, through its Department of Public Prosecution, should be exclusively saddled with the responsibility of handling corruption-related cases as they have their careers at stake, as against appointing private practitioners who have nothing to lose and whose interest is simply the earning of their fees. He further advocated the removal of the office of the DPP from under the AGF and guarantee the security of their tenure if the war on corruption must produce results. The convoy of Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State was forced to make U-turn after some angry youths in Makurdi barricaded the main road. Ortom was on his way to Abuja for the follow-up talk with the leadership of the All Progressive Congress APC on the peace deal offered by its national chairman, Comrade Adams Oshomole, sensing that the governor might have a change of mind after the Abuja meeting and will possibly return to APC. The youths blocked the main road with various inscriptions urging Ortom not to go to Abuja. An eyewitness account by Nelson Obu says the youth angrily removed the APC flag on the governor's vehicle and asked him to go back to Government House, threatening to vote him out if he insists on going to Abuja for the meeting. The governor was said to have pleaded with the youths to allow him attend the meeting, assuring them that their interest will be protected. We shall now go on a short commercial break. When we return, more news will come to you.
On the program this week, our Bible reading is taken from John chapter 15 verse 5, which says, I am the vine, ye are the branches. Whoever abideth in me and I in him.
You are welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or youtube.com/ACNNTV. To be up to date with our news and other programs, please download the ACNN app for Android from Google Play Store. And now to foreign news. Church leaders in South Sudan, including the Anglican primate Archbishop Justin Bardi Alma, have issued a joint statement calling on political leaders in the war-torn country to pursue peace. The heads of churches in the membership of the South Sudan Council of Churches made this call after a meeting in Nairobi, Kenya, where they issued a joint statement lamenting the violence and sufferings of the nation's people. The report stated that the winds of violence and conflict have continued to obscure the road to light and peace, while the international community remains discouraged and frustrated by the absence of peace. The church leaders spoke of the role that the church has played in bringing the opposing sides together earlier this year for the first face-to-face meetings in several years, and said that they remain ready to facilitate space for genuine dialogue. The Church of England's Bishop of St. Albans, Bishop Alan Smith, has successfully seen through the final reading of a registration of marriage bill in the upper house of Britain's Parliament, called the House of Lords. By so doing, Bishop Alan Smith has become the first bishop in 20 years to set draft legislation through the entire legislative process in the House of Lords. At present, marriage registers include the name of the bride and groom's father. If the registration of marriage becomes law, it will allow the parties' mothers to be named as well. The bill also provides for the creation of electronic marriage registers in place of handwritten registers, which often leads to mistakes when details are added to electronic databases for searching. The final stage of the legislative was without debate and was passed unanimously to the delight of Bishop Alan Smith, who was optimistic that the lower chamber, called the House of Commons, will also help correct what he called a historic injustice. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for an explosion near a polling station in the western city of Quetta, Pakistan. At least 24 people were killed and 35 injured as Pakistan's fought in a knife-edged national election. The group said the attack was carried out by a suicide bomber but did not provide further detail or evidence for its claim. The bomber targeted a senior police officer and his guards when he came to examine the security arrangements at the polling station. There were imminent threats of violence during voting after a deadly campaign in which more than 180 people were killed in a series of bombings. Militant Islamic State and Taliban militants have threatened to target the voting, saying they consider democracy as a system followed by Western infidels. Alright, so that's it on this edition of the News on the Hour. I want to thank you for watching. I am Zubechi Frank.